Okay guys, this is Michael again with M6 Customs. We're going to work on a little bit of the wiring, and I'm not going to go over all of it because some of it's pretty straightforward. I'll point it out, but there's not really a whole lot going on there. However, as you'll notice, it does come with a bunch of wiring harnesses. So I'm just going to point them out, and I'm going to show you which ones you need and which ones you don't. The first one that's going to come with is this one. This is the main harness that does the power, the ground, speakers, everything else like that. Now, you'll notice here that it comes with this connector here. This is an ISO plug. Unfortunately, we're not going to be using this with the Mazda 6. Mainly because we don't have an ISO plug that works on ours, because the harness that plugs into the car plugs into the faceplate, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But I'm going to move on to other wiring harnesses, and I'll go from there. This right here is one of the next ones. This is the USB cable. This plugs into the back of the radio. The back of the radio actually has what plugs in where, and it comes with 3 USB ports. What I'm going to end up using mine for is I'm going to have 2 USB ports. One's going to be one that I can plug in a flash drive or anything else that I want to. The other one's going to be for the CarPlay for my Apple phone on the radio. And then another one's going to be for the dash cam. So most of these are going to be hidden behind the dash, and you can kind of wire these any way that you want. The next 3 harnesses that come with it, some of them may be needed, some of them won't. There's 3 different ones. This one is mainly going to be if you have a amplifier or amps. If you've got a Bose stereo, you're definitely going to need to use this one, just because of this one right here called amp control. This is what will actually turn on the amplifier, the Bose amplifier, so that you can get speakers or get sound. Now, you will probably not be using any of these. However, if you do have other amplifiers or like a subwoofer, you know, that's what this right here would be for. This is how you would actually wire those up to your radios so that you've got sound coming out. This is also your video out, so if anybody actually had like a headrest monitors or other type of video output, that's what this will be for. Moving on to some of the other harnesses. This right here is an aux harness. This is one that you'll more than likely not use unless you want to do some sort of video into your unit, your audio in. So like these right here is going to be your audio in and your video in if you wanted to hook up a gaming console or something else, or if you had a DVR, which there is an option of actually having being able to receive TV, broadcast TV into your radio. Moving on to this one, this right here is also going to be, I'm going to learn a little bit more about this as it goes on, as I do some installs, because some of these, like this AXSite video and FCam video in, these are more than likely not going to be used, but I'm going to test them out and see if I can figure out, you know, here's it says Gamma. I think that's supposed to be camera, not Gamma. Reverse wire. This right here is also a microphone. Now the head unit actually does have a microphone built into it, but if you wanted to have an external microphone, this harness is what you would end up using to plug in that microphone. So moving on to how you'll actually install this into the Mazda 6 is this right here is the dash kit that I've got. This is basically, or that I sell, this is basically the car AV kit. This is the harness that comes with it, and this is what's going to be needed. For the most part, it's got, here's your power, ground, illumination, things like that. Here's your speaker wires. These are all ones that you have to wire in. So as you can see, there's no connector here. That's the reason why we're going to have to cut off that ISO plug and plug into here. So I'm going to go ahead and do some wiring up on this. I'm not going to spend too much on it, mainly because it's very simple. When it comes off of the main harness, you just match up your wires. You got your yellow, black, red, green, white, gray, purple, that all match up to this. The difference is that some things you'll end up having on here, and I'll point those out as we go along, like your illumination wire. This is so that it'll dim the radio and turn on the lights whenever you turn the lights on in the car. That'll actually get hooked up to, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be this wire right here. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but the wires actually do have, if I can get it to focus, they're actually labeled what it is. So the orange wire for illumination off the radio plug will wire into this one. Then, you know, there's also here we've got a key wire, key 1, this is what's going to be used to tap into the steering wheel controls, which that's one of those special ones that I'll have to show you guys how that wires up. This brake control, that right there it's a safety feature that you're supposed to wire up to the emergency brake so that you cannot have video playing while you're driving, and all it needs to work is just a ground. Leave it from there, whether you guys want to hook it up directly to ground, but you should hook it up to the emergency brake. Some of these other wires, like this key 2, is not going to be used. You know, some of these I will end up learning, like here's another ground, and I believe that this ground is what's going to be used for the steering wheel control. But these are going to be some things that as soon as I play with it and learn it, and I'll show it in this video a little bit later on, I will show you exactly how to hook it up so that you know that it works. Okay, so now that I've got the wiring tied up as far as outside of the car, you want to do a little bit of this work before you get in. I'm just going to point out a few key things. So for the most part, you match everything up here. The gray with the black stripes, all the speaker wires. Your orange, yellow, red, those are all going to be your power and ground, or the yellow, red, and black are going to be your power and ground. One thing I do want to point out is the harness for the install kit for the Mazda 6 is going to come with an orange and an orange-white stripe. Do not use the orange-white stripe, use the orange, and tie that into the radio that's for the Illumination. A couple of things that you may also notice here, well, here's the amp turn on for the Bose amp. This would not be needed if you do not have a Bose amp and anything else. But a couple of things you may also see here is this right here is a wireless module that will allow the reverse camera to be wired in without having to run a wire from the back of the car. It has a black and red lead. I just tied those into the black and red that's tied into the radio. Other than that, this right here is ready to go in. I will show a little bit more once I actually get started into the car. I'm going to finish up the wiring on this. So a few things that you'll notice here, I mean, it is a big mess. I'm going to try to see if I can point this out as best I can. So you're going to have the main harness that's coming from the car right here. To get the steering wheel wires, hopefully you guys can see this fairly well, there's 2 wires. One of them is a black or red with a black stripe, and the other is a green with a white stripe. What you have to do, you can see this one right here, this is the green with the white stripe. I basically have it tapped to ground, straight to ground. That way it's tapped to ground. The other one is going to the steering wheel 1 wire. Once that's actually set up, then your steering wheel should work from there. Other than that, there's really not any other wiring that you've got to add in. Other than that, it's basically just putting it together, trying to make it as neat as possible. I did also put the reverse wire. The reverse wire is down in the driver's side kick panel. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's a red with a yellow stripe. That right there is your reverse activation. I do have the wireless receiver stuff back in here. I got to get all these wires cleaned up a little bit, make it look a little bit neater. But and that right there is pretty much it as far as wiring goes. Once we get the wiring done, we can put the radio in and start configuring it. Okay, so as you can see, guys, I've got it all in. Couple things that I've done just to try to make things look a little bit nicer. This is the Mazdaspeed6, so the dashboard and the center console is kind of like a brushed metallic or a brushed aluminum. The dash kit itself does not have that brushed aluminum look. Eventually I may end up trying to wrap all this, but essentially what I did is I took the center console out of a 2006 to 2008 model regular Mazda 6 that's black, and it matches the trim just nicely. I did take and paint this right here silver or gray so that it kind of matches. I went ahead and painted the center console part of it too, just so that it all matches the same color. So let's go ahead and get this thing started up so you guys can see a little bit about it. So it starts up, and it starts at this screen right here. Got your radio and several other features. I have not even messed with a lot of the features on it yet, other than it does have a reverse camera. got to turn the car on. Reverse camera. Now I'll show you guys the camera here in just a second, and ignore the crack in the bumper. That's one of those many things that I'm going to fix. But this right here is the reverse camera. I've got it set up with the wireless controller. It works okay. Now, a little bit, you'll get a little bit of static in it, but for ease of installation, works great how it is. Take it out of reverse, it comes back. So some of the other features that I have installed, so I've got the dash cam, which I've got my hood open right now, but this right here is constantly recording, and it's on an SD card that's actually up in the dash cam, which is up here behind the rear view mirror. You know, it's also got torque. Torque opens up, which right now it's not connected to it because I don't have the car running, but you know, there's plenty of videos online talking about torque and the customization that torque allows you to do. Great app, especially if you use something like Versatune on your Mazdaspeed. You don't have any gauges, whereas if you have an access port, you got gauges, and it allows you to be able to monitor things. If you use Versatune, there's no way that you're going to leave a computer plugged up to your car the whole time. You know, there is a bunch of other features in here. You've got radio, music, so I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but I replaced the cigarette lighter down here with 2 USB ports. That way I can actually plug something there. I've got my phone cable plugged in, which I'll show you the Apple CarPlay in just a minute. You can browse the internet, pictures. Basically, this is just like a tablet. It does have a different interface on it that is specific to the Xtrons, but you can put different launchers on here. So let me go ahead and show you the CarPlay a little bit. I don't know how well it will work while I'm trying to record a video. But this is, I've got the, sorry about that guys, it ended up cutting off the video right when it plugged in. The little control box that I've got it hidden under the center console. That way it's just always plugged in. All I have to do is just plug in my phone to that USB port there. But this right here works just as well as any other radio that has CarPlay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything while I've got my phone plugged into it. Otherwise it's going to cut off the video. Great interface. It also works with Android Auto. Great little setup. I love the way this right here works, and it works just as good as any aftermarket radio that has CarPlay built into it. There is the capability of TPMS. Currently I'm having some issues with TPMS, which I'm hopefully get that sorted out pretty soon. But you can go through, and some of the apps like Google, I can take and run 2 apps side by side. I mean, great little radio. You know, if I was to give any kind of a review on it, I would say that the sound quality on this is not quite as good as what you would get with any of the name brands like Pioneer, Kenwood, some of the other radios like that. But it's not bad. I'm not going to try to record any audio on it right now, just because you're not going to get any good audio out of a camera microphone like this. So one other thing that I want to show you is this was the reverse camera that I got. It's not a bad little camera. It actually kind of looks like it's factory in the way that it sits up in there. But you know, overall, pretty good setup. I'm happy with it. You know, I'm going to play around with some more features on it, hopefully get some more, especially get the TPMS fixed on it. But great little radio for what it is. So if you guys are interested in it, let me know. I can get you the dash kit and the radio for the Mazdaspeed6. Any of the Mazda 3 owners out there, I can also get some of the other some radios that are actually vehicle specific. I'm hoping that one day that Xtrons will actually release a radio that is specific to the Mazda 6 line. But You know, it's a little out of my hands. But if you guys are interested in it, let me know. I can get you an invoice set up and get you one ordered. Thanks, guys.